Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please.
Alright, so I think Kashtira is one of the more underrated decks. Not just for the Worlds qualifiers, but like just in general for this format. One, it is a shifter deck, and shifter is, there's no need to explain that. In a format where Snake Eyes and Fire Kings are all over the place, obviously being a shifter deck has its perks. It's also a Gamma deck, and Gamma is also one of the best hand traps in the game. And this is uniquely, I think, maybe the only deck in the game that can capably run both shifter and Gamma. And by being able to run Gamma, I don't mean like just like using it on your opponent's turn. I mean that this deck can take advantage to bait out Gamma on your turn and use it on your turn as a way to, you know, get a free level 8 synchro, in which case it's going to be a free Omega, so you get a free hand rip on your turn too. So it's not just a going second card, it's good going first and second in this deck. And I'm really can't think of another deck that can just take advantage of both shifter and Gamma. Maybe, I mean, if we go over the other shifter decks, right, we have Flu, and Flu can't special summon, so, you know, Gamma is not usable on your turn. Exo Sister locks you into Exo Sisters. Also Marva requires you to control no monsters, so no Gamma for you. Vanquish Souls, the only really real way to bait out like a Maxi or an Ash of Vanquish Souls is like, I believe, stake your soul, and other than that, you're always starting your play with normal summoning a monster, so your Gamma's already dead like most of the time anyways. And the only really other deck I can think of that might be able to run both shifter and Gamma is Pearly. And Pearly, it's kind of weird because I don't think you're shifting yourself most of the time going first. If you want to like end on a Noir consistently going first, you're probably using you're probably discarding the shifter for your quick play spells going first most of the time. So that's, I mean, it kind of fits, but also that's not really using shifter. You're just, it's more just like going second card into Pearly. And again, most Pearly decks don't even run shifter anyway, so it's what it is. And yeah, the reason Gamma is so good because it's the next, after like Maxi and shifter, it is the next best hand trap this format. And unlike with a lot of other hand traps, where, you know, even stuff like Imperm or Ash Blossom, these cards aren't good enough by themselves. They're not usually impactful enough by themselves to really hinder top decks like Snake Eyes Fire Kings, for example. Especially Imperm, if they have a Kieran in hand, your Imperm is basically useless against them. Whereas if you Gamma, like people think Gamma destroying is sometimes a hindrance against Fire King, but really majority of Fire King's decks are Snake Eyes Fire Kings, and the absolute best thing you can do against Snake Eyes Fire Kings is to Gamma their Ash, because that way even if they have Kieran, their Ash still gets negated, so it still stops them from getting Poplar and getting their original symbol spoil, which, you know, cuts them off upon it and all that stuff. And obviously if you had an Imperm while they had a Kieran, that's no good for you. Against Rescuays, Gamma is the only single hand trap in the game that can actually stop Turbulence set 4. One single Imperm is never gonna work against Rescuays now because they can just dodge it with SP. So like there's really no way through. So there's no way to really prevent the Turbulence set 4 if you just have Imperm. Whereas Gamma, you can Gamma the Turbulence, and even if they chain SP to try and save it, it still gets negated. It's a hard once per turn effect, so it stops it right there. And yeah, it's basically the math. It works out to the point where you don't have, if you open these, like one of these 7 power hand traps, you don't have to open 2 hand traps to stop your opponent a lot of time. You can just have one single hand trap being impactful. And most decks, all they really have is Maxi as a single turn ending hand trap, and Maxi doesn't resolve half the time. But yeah, being able to like over double the amount of turn ending hand traps in your deck is one of the perks for Kashtira. Now, well, obviously one of the downsides for Kashtira is that you notice the numbers on these cards right here. These Kashtira cards are pretty heavily limited, and consistency is definitely one of the downsides of playing Kashtira. So I'm using this build as a way to alleviate it. You know, as I'm using Small World as my consistent choice now over Planet Pathfinder, and the main reason I decided to pivot to Small World is because of the Tomahawk package I'm running. Now, Tomahawk, the idea with this is 2 level 7s. You can go into Tomahawk. Tomahawk gets you 4 tokens, and then you use the tokens, you make a Win and a Link Spider, and then you have a leftover token and Tomahawk, and these 4 can go into Saryuja, and Saryuja can draw 4 cards. And you know, the idea is you're going to draw into your Kashtira monsters, and Saryuja has another effect where you can just special summon a monster to a zone that Saryuja points to. So if you like draw into any of your Kashtira monsters off of the Skull Dread, then you get to summon them, and then you can extend from there. This isn't your main line of play. You don't go into this too often. This isn't the TCG where this, you know, TCG Kashtira's game plan is a lot of the time just to go into the Drago Saga into a rank 7 to like Heat Soul or like actually like plays like that way. No, this is your Saryuja is your backup plan. Ideally, you are still going to go for making Rise Heart the traditional way with Unicorn and stuff like that. But if, say, your Unicorn gets hand trapped, and you know people are gonna know that you're gonna be on Fear Cash a lot of the time, so oftentimes they will just hand trap the Unicorn, or if not hand trap the Unicorn, when you add Theosis, they will Ash Theosis, and then usually that's gonna stop your play from there. If you know, just a well-timed Ash on your Theosis, or like if your Unicorn gets negated and you don't have one of its search targets, then you can't really extend from there. Having the Tomahawk and Saryuja option means that now Rise Heart also turns into a somewhat like a pseudo extender. It's a way to extend past the plays, to extend past your Unicorn getting stopped. So you have to normal summon it. That's why Small World is important now over Planet Pathfinder, because if you special Rise Heart, you're locked into Exceeds, and then you can't go into the Saryuja line, so you have to normal summon Rise Heart. So you have to use Small World then as your consistency tool, because if you normal summon Planet Pathfinder, that cuts you off from any potential Saryuja plays. But yeah, let's say your Unicorn gets negated, you can just normal Rise Heart, draw 4, and then you can a lot of times still end on an Rise Heart after getting hand trapped once, which is you know, in a deck as inconsistent as Kashtira, that was not true a lot of the time before. And also, it turns Ogre and Rise Heart into decent cards instead of, like, you know, previously Ogre, all it does was add prep, but if you had nothing else going for you, then Ogre plus prep, it's like kind of mediocre. But Ogre plus Rise Heart now also lets you go into the Saryuja line if you have nothing else. A single Fenrir normally in a Rise Heart build, Fenrir does not get you to a Rise Heart by itself, but you can Fenrir, add Rise Heart, normal Rise Heart, and then go into Tomahawk that way, and then go to Saryuja, and then hope to try and sack into something like a Unicorn plus Theosis, or like Unicorn plus Birth, or Scarecrow Cash. And that's another thing about Small World, is that Small World is also a really good draw if you ever do the Saryuja line, because you can just simply use Small World to get whatever you want. Whereas if you Saryuja and do Planet Pathfinder, for example, that wouldn't be good, because you would have to use Saryuja's special summon effect to summon the Pathfinder to get your race off. But then you've already expended your Saryuja special summon effect. So whatever you add off race off, you can't like add a Unicorn or a Fender, for example, and that special summon anymore, because you already used the special summon effect. So yeah, that's ultimately why I chose the Small World as a consistency tool now. Now, there are downsides to Small World as well, in that you have to run specific bridges, and there's just certain cards in here that just can't be Small Worlded away into anything relevant. Drone Lockbird is in here because it is a small world bridge. It lets you bridge hand traps like Ash Blossom into Unicorn. It also bridges Dimension Shifter into Unicorn, so that's nice there. And another downside is that Rise Heart, there's no good small world bridges for Rise Heart to bridge into Unicorn. The best one is like Volcanic Queen. This is like the best thing you can small world Rise Heart away for to get into Unicorn, because Volcanic Queen is a level 6 fire with 2500 attack. The thing is, Volcanic Queen sucks. It costs your normal summon, and so you can't do the certain Tomahawk Saryuja plays we talked about, but also it's a single kaiju removal. Kaijus aren't, one single kaiju is not really that impactful this format. Also, it's a fire, so like it doesn't even, they can still princess pop the Volcanic Queen. It's really bad. Like this Rise Heart plus Small World, that is the reason why I'm still running a single planet Pathfinder, because this Pathfinder is like one bridge that you can Small World Rise Heart into that actually gets you somewhere. Like you can Rise Heart into a banished Pathfinder, and then you can at least get yourself a Fender. It's not optimal, it's not a one card play unless you want to like pinch it all onto the Saryuja, but it's better than nothing, because without the Planet Pathfinder, there's literally nothing you can add off of small worlding away Rise Heart. So yeah, and also having the Planet Pathfinder in deck allows you to also small world to search Rise Heart if you have like Maxi or Gamma, for example. And you can also, so if you want small world way Gamma, or small world ways something like a Droll or a Unicorn if you have extra copies for some reason, and then banish a Gamma, or you can banish any cash monster to banish Gamma, to add Planet Pathfinder if you really want the field spell to like pop something for some reason and it's gonna go through. So it's all right. This is like the 40th card, and it's like half a bridge for Rise Heart. Well, yeah, that's probably most of the explaining that the main deck needs, because all of the other cash ratios are pretty standard. You have to max out on all the copies of Fender and Unicorn that we have left, and of course I'm maxing out on Theosis and the copies of, for some reason, Burf is still at 2, don't know why. I played 2 pots. I'm not running Desires because there's way too many 1-ups in this deck right now, so that Desires doesn't even help consistency too much, because you're just as likely to banish something important as you are to draw something important. Yeah, 1 Circle Clash and 3 Ogre. So as I mentioned, Ogre is Ogre plus Rise Heart and all that stuff can get you to Saryuja and that, but I just really don't want to brick on cards like Theosis, because even though Ogre is not a 1-card combo, if you draw any cash monster with Kashtira Theosis, it is still combo. Like, you don't always open your 1-card combo like Unicorn, but if you open Theosis plus Ogre or Theosis plus Rise Heart, that's mostly fine. You can still make that work. Especially Rise Heart plus Theosis gets you to a Rise Heart in like 3 special summons, and if they don't have the Alter Rise Heart, you still probably win. Rise Heart's a pretty good card this format. Oh yeah, and Reinforcement of the Army is the 4th copy of Rise Heart. And yeah, as for like the Gamma, sorry, I'm all like all over the place this deck profile, but yeah, obviously you see we have tons of baits to trigger Gamma on our turn. Anytime you small world and add a Kashtira monster, your opponent is 90% of the time going to preemptively max you, because they're gonna know that you're actually on pure cash, and like they literally saw you add a inherent summon to your hand, so like why wouldn't they max you, right? Nobody plays around Gamma against cash. And also, if you shifter, people are also obligated to just ditch Maxi to try and catch Kashtira and Exosister, and then that's when they also get punished by Gamma. And then obviously people were wondering what you do with Gamma. You make Omega, then Omega clears your field, and then you know your field is clear. You hand loop them for basically 2. They're 1 hand trap and they're the whatever you rip from Omega, and then you can still special summon your Kashtira monster slightly. And Droll being in the meta now, I don't know how popular Droll is. We don't have like user stats or anything, but Droll is definitely getting more popularity. And yeah, getting Drolled after Small World, one of your pots, or Reinforcement of the Army, or Race Off, or Pathfinder also plays in the Gamma. So yeah. 1 Big Bang, 1 Preparations. There's actually a funny line now that's that I'm trying to do that involves ending on Preparations as a way to protect your Arise Heart from board breakers and the usual outs to Arise Heart, which I'll show you in like the first replay when we get there. Yeah, the extra deck is honestly the only really important things in the extra deck are triple Arise Heart and 2 Shangri-La. The Saryuja package, most of the games you're really only going to these 5 plus maybe Dark Arm, because Dark Arm can trigger your own. You can trigger your Theosis in the grave. Keep that in mind that Dark Arm Dragon can also get you Engine and get you follow up. It's not just removal. But yeah, you don't have to play the Saryuja package if you don't have to. But these other 9 cards are just whatever you want them to be. I just used the Saryuja engine because you know, just to test it out, and it's fine. I don't really miss any other rank 7s because Rise Heart and Dark Arm between these two usually get like does 90% of the work for you anyways. I never really missed Big Eye. I didn't really miss a Draco Sack. Draco Sack is really only for skill drain, and skill drain is limited and not obviously not a lot of decks even play skill drain, so I've never needed that. Baron is for when you open Ash, Kashtira Unicorn plus one of these 2, Birth or Theosis. So that doesn't come up too often either. I just often Prosperity this away. Omega is for the Gamma, and then I put in like 1 SP and 1 Almirage for those cases where you have a Kashtira monster, and then you can normal summon one of these hand traps, go into Almirage, and then you can go into SP to trigger the SP banish. Yeah. Let's see the deck in action, because I've got some interesting replays for you. So this is one of the combos that I try to go for now if my hand allows it. It's sort of a 3-ish card combo. Generally you need Unicorn plus one of Theosis or Birth, well, basically a Unicorn plus one of its search targets, and then one of Rise Heart or Scarecrow Clash, one of the extenders. And then that way you could that allows you to do the combo. You can also it requires prep, so if you just hard draw prep, then that also works. If you hard draw Ogre and you have an extra Birth, then you can also normal summon the Ogre to add the prep, and that also works. Basically, you'll see this combo is really unorthodox, so I don't blame most people not actually knowing that this is the thing you could do. But here, I'm gonna race off and I'm gonna add Unicorn, special Unicorn, and it's gonna get Veilered. So we can still, this hand still does it because I hard drew Pot of Prosperity, the most insane card in the game, and I already hard drew Theosis, so I'm gonna use Theosis to get Fenrir. Fenrir is going to add Scarecrow Clash. We need both Rise Heart and Scarecrow Clash to do this. And then you go into Kashtira Shangri-La, special Rise Heart. If I had access to Birth right now, I would Rise Heart, banish Ogre, and then Birth summon back the Ogre and add prep. But because they Veilered my Unicorn, I don't have access to Birth right now, so I'm just going to banish Big Bang instead. And then Big Bang is going to summon the Fenrir off of the Shangri-La, and here I'm going to special Scarecrow Clash. If you're going for double Rise Heart, you would make a Rise Heart over the Shangri-La first, but this combo is a bit safer if you have the extra card to do so. So the Theosis is going to trigger to add the Big Bang back, and then I'm going to overlay these 3 here into Kashtira Rise Heart, and I'm going to use Prosperity now. I'm looking for a birth or a hard or a prep, because if I draw a birth then I can normal summon this Kashtira Ogre. We haven't used our normal summon yet, but yeah, I'm gonna banish 6 and I reveal just preparations right off the bat. So I'm gonna add the preparations, and then this is the setup basically. Kashtira Rise Heart, add back Theosis, and then look at this. This is the most important part of the combo. Okay, you're going to overlay a second Kashtira Rise Heart over the first Kashtira Rise Heart that you hard made. That way you have one Kashtira Rise Heart as a material for your second Rise Heart. Why is this important? This basically allows you to play through every single out to your Rise Heart in the game, except for Kaiju. But you'll see. So I'm gonna summon out Unicorn, and our opponent normal summons Poplar. Poplar is gonna add Subversion, and that is an out to a Rise Heart. So here I'm gonna just Unicorn take away the SP, get rid of the Poplar with the Shangri-La trigger, and since we have the field spell, the Shang trigger is gonna pop the Poplar. And yeah, here you're going to activate after the 5 mandatory attaches on a Rise Heart. You're gonna activate Subversion. When they show that they have an out to your Rise Heart, you use a Rise Heart, detach the Kashtira Rise Heart underneath your Rise Heart so that it gets banished, and then summon back the Rise Heart with prep. That way, this is how this setup plays around like almost everything, since at any point you can detach the Rise Heart underneath the Rise Heart and then prep it back, so that you'll always have an Rise Heart macro on the field. What's notable about this is better than a double Rise Heart setup, because this also beats cards like Talents and cards like mass board wipes like Raigeki, Dark Hole, stuff like that. Since obviously if you only had double Rise Heart out, then Dark Hole would wipe both anyways, and if they have Talents, they could Talents take one Rise Heart, and then the Rise Heart they take and then out your Rise Heart, so it gets rid of both of them. With this setup, if they Dark Hole you just detach the Rise Heart, banish their Dark Hole, whatever, and then after the Dark Hole resolves, you can prep back your Rise Heart. If they Talents you can simply a Rise Heart, banish your detach the Rise Heart, banish your own Rise Heart, so that all they can take is like a Unicorn or a Shangri-La or something. Then after the Talent results, then you can prep back the Kashtira Rise Heart too, and you can put it in attack as well. That way they can't even crash the Shangri-La. They can't even take Shangri-La and crash with Zeus, for example, because then it would be crashing into the Rise Heart, and then to keep the Shangri-La alive, they would detach material, and then Shangri-La has 0 materials. Then all you can make is a 1 material Zeus, which doesn't do anything. So yeah, this is the funny put a Rise Heart over itself combo. I hope that explanation made sense to you. But basically, it's the safest way you do. The only thing it really loses to is Kaijus, but every setup you have loses to Kaijus pretty much. So you beat everything else, and Kaijus aren't exactly the most common thing ran this format. So here we have a much worse hand. Technically, it's still combo. Again, this is why I maxed on a Rise Heart, and I maxed out on every Cash Monster, because at the very least, if I open Theosis, and I open even a shitty Cash Monster, it still lets me combo into a Rise Heart usually. So here I'm going to normal Rise Heart, and it gets Max Seed. Unfortunately, this is one of the few hands that cannot effectively bait out a Max Seed from your opponent by revealing that you have a Kashtira Monster in your hand. So yeah, the Gamma and the Driver, not optimal right here. And I am going to just make a Rise Heart like F. I'm not going to pass on Rise Heart, okay? I'm going to try to make a Rise Heart and to hope they don't draw an output within 3 draws. So yeah, Unicorn, add Birth, special back to Vendor, add back a Scarecrow Cash as defense. If something goes horribly wrong, I at least can Scarecrow Cash, banish this Theosis Engrave, and then add a follow-up off of one of the Ash Materials off of Rise Heart. And our opponent, of course, they're gonna draw an out because, you know, they did draw 4 cards off this, including their draw phase. So I'm going to just detach off a Rise Heart, banish their imperm so that I at least get my monsters banished so I can add them back off fields later. And then pray my opponent can't kill me. They're going to Small World, Maxi for like... We've all been there before. We've all tried to find a bridge into an Ash, or try to find a bridge into something, and then realize that that Small World bridge does not work, so you just end up adding the card that you originally banished off the Small World in the first place, which is Maxi. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it does not seem to matter for them because they opened Firewall Defender anyways. Then Defender is going to go to Lingereeble, so that checks my Kashtira Big Bang, which is hella annoying. Then they have Parallel Exceed, so they get to keep Lingereeble on the field. So now this Big Bang, which I thought was going to be an actual defensive option against something like Mathmech, no longer is the case. Because now they can just make Allen version under Lingereeble. I love that. And I have this Gamma chilling in my hand. Now there's one way. There's one way that we don't die, and our opponent summons back the Diameter, and Circular is going to add Equation, and they're going to go into Laplation, and they're going to attempt to clear my Arise Heart. This is the only way that we had a chance of winning, was to for our opponent to preemptively get rid of the Arise Heart so that the Gamma would be live. So they're going to use Allen version, send 3. I'm going to Big Bang, hopefully bait out the Laplation negate, and it does. Because, you know, they're under the assumption that I have no more interruption because, honestly, I had no responses besides this, and then this Big Bang is just, it's not doing anything because there was a Lingereeble and a Laplation negate on the field. So yeah, they're going to negate this, and then they're going to send Driver. Absolutely worst hit off the Laplation I've ever seen. Literally, they could have if they hit either of these two, we were probably going to lose this game. But no, they hit the Driver, and then they're going to send Burr. So now with these two, they're going to go into Splash Mage, and they're going to trigger Splash Mage effect, and I'm going to use Gamma. At this point, I know they have an Equation in hand, but with Splash Mage already gone, they need like 2 extenders to play past this. They already use Exceed. We're safe. We live a turn. So now my turn. Unfortunately, I know they have Maxi in hand. So, yeah. So the reason I didn't use Kashtira Gas Cash on my opponent's turn to play on Maxi was because if I drew a Cash monster and I had a Kashtira Scareclaw on the field, I was gonna lose it. So, I'm just passing. Hopefully, my opponent doesn't draw a Circular. They already use Small World, so they actually use one of their Circulars on hand looping themselves to add a Maxi. And here I'm going to finally Scareclaw Clash, banish Birth, and then special Rise Heart. Rise Heart is going to banish the Theosis from deck. Theosis is going to add the Birth back, and then Birth, you know, I have both Unicorn and Fenrir banished. So yeah, they were going to die that turn, and you know, definitely should not have won that game. But you know, especially for Duelist Cup second stage or World Championship Qualifier second stage, maybe stick it out as a turn. Maybe your opponent plays into the one thing that they weren't expecting, because it's. I mean, honestly, who the hell is playing around a Driver in my hand when I normal summon Theosis, right? Or when I'm normal summons Rise Heart, right? So if you thought that last game was wild, for some reason, whenever I play Kashtira, I only get the most Gas Leak fucking games ever played on Master Duel. I don't understand why like all my games end up like this, but yeah, our opponent's gonna Ravesoft for Unicorn, special Unicorn, and I don't Gamma this. I really should, because I'm still under the assumption that people are playing Snake Eye Kashtira, which people are definitely not playing Snake Eyes Kashtira right now, and I was holding my Gamma for like their actual Snake Eyes plays, when in fact 90% of the time now, if they're leading with Unicorn, especially with Raidsoft, they're just on some form of pure Kashtira, so it's perfectly fine to just Gamma the Unicorn, honestly. But yeah, they add Theosis, and at this point I know they're on actual cash right now and not Snake Eye cash. So yeah, they're going to hard open Faithful Venture, not Rite of Armis here, so they don't get Griffin Rider. Then they're going to Dimension Shifter me. Like they're gonna pretend that's gonna do something because they don't know yet. But at the very least, they're gonna get Fender, and they're gonna use Fender's effect, and I am gonna use Gamma this. At the very least, this still does prevent them from going into a Rise Heart. It's not ideal because they still have the Unicorn on the field, but it is enough to end their turn right here. My Zeus is gone, which is unfortunate in the mirror match, and they're gonna just set one and pass. Here, I'm going to special Unicorn effect, add Theosis, and I'm going to use Theosis, waiting for a response. Scare Clock Hash, activate Small World, banish Gamma, and add Fender. And I'm going to activate Birth, and has anyone ever been in this game state? Has anyone ever been in a game where somebody crossed out the Kashtira Birth? Okay, it's not. They're not even chaining. The funny thing is, they're not chaining the cross out to even the special summon effect. They're using cross out so that I can't use Birth effect to normal summon. I don't even have anything banished to special off Birth. They're just preventing from normal summoning. So, you know what I'm doing? I'm tribute summoning the Fender. I'm entering battle phase. I'm getting rid of the Unicorn. And then Fender will add a Rise Heart for follow up, and I'm gonna set the prep, which is honestly pretty decent because they shifted me. Thank you very much, by the way. Your shifter helped me out. My cash monsters are banished instead of in the grave, so I can actually prep them back, and I can also on the follow up Rise Heart banish a Theosis and add back a cash monster. So thank you very much. And now they're going to activate it right, and for some reason they're not activating. They activate Dracoback. They don't add the Griffin Rider first. Don't really know why, and they're going to bounce back my Fender, and then I'm going to summon back the Fender that they passed to my hand. This is the dumbest Kashtira mirror match you've literally ever seen. And here I'm going to activate Birth because I don't know when else I'm going to get value out of this Birth. I'm going to special summon Griffin Rider, too small to run over my Fender, and they already used the Dracoback bounce to bounce the Fender back that I summoned off the prep. To be fair, they didn't know I had prep, but still. There's about 2 interactions that you just have never seen in your entire life in Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably. I'm going to use Fender effect, they're going to negate it. Even though I have prep, so I'm going to just prep back the Unicorn and add a Theosis anyways. And use Birth to pack the Fender that they negated. Yeah, they were... You know, they were probably not in a winning position, regardless. But... I mean, those were some desperation moves, man. Dracoback, bounce Fender, cross out the Birth. And by the way, for as dumb as that game was, this game is about 10 times dumber. Why? So, our opponent specials Adhara, right? Normal summon Suwani, I'm like, whoa. Go into Danglong. Special Danglong. You notice they didn't use Danglong's effect to search. Which... At this point, I'm like, I checked the logs and I saw they did not use Danglong's effect. So I'm like, they must have hard opened the counter trap. That's the only reason they didn't search. And they're going to send Shifana engrave. And then they're going to banish all 3 into Protos. This is the dumbest way I've ever seen Protos ever summon. Just off of a Danglong dumping an attribute so yeah, you can summon Protos. Call Dark. Nice. So, here... I'm going to activate Small World. I'm under the assumption that they still have the counter trap, so I'm trying to play around the counter trap, even though I can't really play around the counter trap because I only really have one line of play, and if my Unicorn gets negated, it's whatever. I was just hoping that if they negate my Unicorn, I live the next turn because they don't really have follow up, and then I can Small World again, and then do my Unicorn plays. But yeah, they don't stop this, and I add Theosis, and I activate Theosis, and they have Swordsoul Blackout. Do you play? So this is apparently this is not Yang Zing. This is just Swordsoul with like a couple Yang Zing bricks in the deck. Because yeah, there's no counter trap in their deck. They just use Yang Zing as a worm dump. Okay, cool. And they're going to blackout me. The blackout still ruins me because yeah, I have no Kashtira monster resolution. And they also they don't use the floating effect of Danglong. This doesn't miss timing, by the way. They just did not special summon a Yangtze monster from their deck. And why is that? Okay, so they're gonna pros and they're gonna summon Jiaotu. Their only other target was Jiaotu. There's like several reasons why they couldn't actually special summon the Jiaotu. Number one, the Jiaotu was in their hand, and so therefore the Danglong couldn't summon from the deck. Number two, they were under Protos, so even if it was in deck, they were dark. They couldn't summon dark monsters, which Jiaotu is a dark monster. So this Protos literally helped me more than it helped them. Very nice. And all it does is beat me for 25. And yeah, I draw a shifter. I want small rolling the shifter out of there with the quickness for Droll, for Unicorn. I'm gonna special Unicorn, and I'm thinking I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna Valor my Unicorn, and that's really annoying. Now I make a weird play. Okay, so I special Rystar. Why do I do this? Because I thought Saryuja was a dark monster. Sorry, I didn't check. I thought the longest time Saryuja Skull Dread was dark. No, it isn't Earth. So I should have done the Saryuja play. If I did the Saryuja play, I would have drawn 4, I would have attacked with the pros, I would have won instantly. This entire Saryuja package takes no dark monsters to make. You have the wind, you have an Earth, you have wind, summoning more wind tokens, and Saryuja is an Earth. So yeah, Saryuja would have just won the game off the bat. That's what I should have done. Instead, I summon Rystar, banish Ogre, and I overlay these two into Shangri-La, and I set Big Bang and pass. Now, this is still good enough, because stand on my face when you use Shangri-La effect, I'm going to chain Big Bang, so that forces them to get rid of one of their monsters. And here, I summon Ogre from deck, because the Protoss is still on the field, so I don't want them to like call Earth or call Wind something annoying. So I'm going to give them Ogre, and if they want to blow up my field, they have to the Protoss call Ogre, and all that prevents you is from summoning more Ogres the next turn, which I don't really care about that. And then Shangri-La effect. Then they're going to Protoss call Fire. Protoss call Fire, by the way. While I have Shangri-La, not like Shangri-La has tech that can protect itself, right? And Ogre reveals 5, doesn't reveal any 1-ofs. They already drew the Garnets in their opening hand. There's no more Garnets for me to wipe out, and yeah, that's the probably one of the worst played games in Master Ranked I've ever been a part of on both sides. So yeah, Worlds Qualifiers Stage 2 should be happening in a few hours, and if you're insane enough to grind Stage 2 of the event like me, good luck to you. I'm not saying Kashtira is necessarily the best deck for that, but if you want an alternative deck to play, an anti-meta deck that runs Shifter, give this a go. And if you don't want to play the extremely cringe Kashtira builds that I've been seeing around, which every Kashtira build I've seen is just go first turbo, D-Fisher, macro, floodgates, plus I've seen fucking Fossil Dyna, I've seen all that stuff. But yeah, if you want to play cash, but you don't want to sell your soul too much, this is another way to build it.